Hello YouTubers! Introducing Little Sugar Mama with baking with the one, the only Little Sugar Mama. Today you guys are in for a real special treat. It's Valentine's. We're getting excited about the holiday coming up, and she has a beautiful cake that she's going to show you how to make. Hope you guys enjoy.
Welcome everybody, this is Leanne from Baking with Little Sugar Mama. Today I'm going to introduce you to a buttercream recipe that is very easy to make very smooth and make it look like fondant. Okay, so today we are going to do my easy buttercream icing. This icing is very easy to smooth out and make it ridiculously smooth, almost like fondant. You also will use a soft Viva towel is the brand I use, and you will be able to make it look like it was a beautiful fondant cake, but it's buttercream, which is so much tastier. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a stick of butter. Then we're going to do a cup and a half of Crisco. And yes, I said a cup and a half. Not healthy, but nobody ever said icing is. And I get the sticks. It's so much better. You just get one, it's a cup, and then the other one, you cut it in half, and that's your half a cup. And that is just so easy instead of scooping it out and putting it in there. All right, and we are going to do a tablespoon and a half of clear vanilla. And if you want white icing, you want to make sure it's clear vanilla because any brown in anything will add color to it. All right. All right, so now we are going to cream that together until it is smooth, no lumps. It might take a little bit. Time where it starts to stick to the sides. Right, we'll blend all the rest of the pieces that got up there. Make sure it's all smooth. You want to make sure the entire mixture is smooth and no lumps because it will come out in the buttercream if you don't do it first. And that's not good because it'll be big chunks of it. If it's cold in your house or the butter's not room temperature, it will really mess it up, believe me. I have held it over a heater before and all kinds of stuff, so just make sure it's just smooth as it can be. And then we'll start adding a bag of powdered sugar. Okay, and then once it's all smooth, we're going to add a full bag of powdered sugar, a 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, and then a 1/3 cup of skim milk. And I use skim milk because it has no fat in it at all. And if you use anything with higher fat content, it will mess with the smoothing of it. So just always go with skim milk. If you don't have skim milk, I would even use water instead of using a 2% milk because it does not go on as smooth. So these are the cakes that you want to look just pretty. They taste amazing, but if you don't do it this way, you can't get it as smooth. That's just my trick, and I've been doing it for 4 years. So this is the recipe you would want to use if you really want to smooth out your buttercream icing. Okay. Mix it in. All right, just a little bit more. I can see a little more chunks. Sometimes the bowl gets cold and you can warm it up with your hands or whatever. It's a metal bowl. It tends to get cold. It is going to be so beautiful. I'm not sure if you can see in here, it's not all the way smooth. You can still see little bits of butter. Butter's the one that is harder to get combined. But room temperature ingredients mix so much better than anything. So if you can always get your butter room temperature, it's so much easier. It blends so much more. We're going to do a striped cake with this. We have a great little cake cone that I'm going to show you that is just easy to do and very, very pretty, very trendy. These are very trendy cakes and they are very pretty, very popular. All right. And this just alternating it, covering it up, just trying to, I don't like messes, so I really cover it up. I don't like to clean and never have. Probably never will. Hopefully I will be able to have somebody do that for me. Just not my thing. I gotta concentrate on baking, not cleaning. Baking is a lot of cleaning anyway, so. Right. And on the sides, get it all blended in as much as you can. So that's what's gonna be smooth. That's what's gonna make everything like butter. Alright, and then this is just going to be one last little blast, and we'll get that in here. Alright. Alright, now just one last time. Quick cleanup, and we'll be right back. So now what we'll just do is we are now going to crumb coat the cake. And we're going to show you how that right when we do that. All right, what we're going to do is we are going to now crumb coat the cakes. We're going to do 3 layers for this one. I like a little variety. And we're going to do a circle of buttercream. Add 1. And we're going to do a little dam. Sometimes it'll go all the way around, sometimes it won't. That's all. All right. Round. And then do a little scoop. You can add any kind of filling with this, especially using buttercream on the outside, because if it's like a pudding type of, like a jam, jelly, any kind of filling, it'll slide. So the buttercream really sticks to it like glue. and keeps it very pretty on the outside. And then you can also have a different taste in the inside. You can add all kinds of stuff. You can even take this buttercream. You can add cream cheese and Oreos. You can add all kinds of stuff other than liquid to the buttercreams. And if that, you might get broken buttercream, and that doesn't blend very well. So you got to kind of be careful of the liquid ingredients that you do with buttercream. So, all right, let's do this other piece. It doesn't matter which layer, we're going to do 3. We're going to do another dam. I don't know why I'm not making it go around. I used to be able to make that go around easy. Another scoop. Not so big. Oop, it's a little bigger. Right. All right. And to get it all even, you kind of just get down there with it. So you can see smooth, layered. And these cakes are already cut with my wire, so it makes just a very clean cut, easy cut where it's all even. I do not cut on my own very well. I don't know what it is, but I just don't do it very well. So I trust my little cake cutter. All right, and now the top layer. All right, cool. We got chocolate, vanilla, and red velvet. Now we are going to go in between and spackle it, I guess you could say. All the edges. Kind of push that icing down in there so it doesn't bulge. Right. I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. That all down, and then we'll start crumb coating. Now with crumb coat is just a thin layer of buttercream that holds down the crumbs, and then you would chill for 15 to 30 minutes, and then you could start your icing, and then you won't have to worry about your icing, getting crumbs in your icing or it tearing or anything like that. All right, now we're gonna do a big scoop. I like to do in either way. I've seen it done all kinds of different ways, but we're gonna do a little scoop at the top, not too much because we'll have to scrape it off and you'll be wasting icing if you put a bunch on there. So just enough to where you don't tear into the crumbs and then have a mess. All right. Now, it's easy if you don't pick up your spatula, you know, just kind of back and forth smooth, but don't lift. Sometimes it can be even worse than what I just did. Sometimes depending on the weather, you can pick up that and it'll pull the whole cake up and it's like, ah! So just kind of gotta be careful with it. It's just kind of a science and kind of goes along with the weather. I have definitely learned. Just do a thin enough layer just to get the crumbs down. And then it's on like Donkey Kong from there on out. Right, now never dip your spatula back into the bowl that you're going to be using. Trust me on that. If I say something, I have normally done it and figured it out for y'all and can now tell you my mistakes and how I learned from them. Spread it out as much as you can, kind of glide, you know, with the, make sure you don't get crumbs back in there, but it's pretty much just getting it on there. Nothing fancy, nothing, just as long as you can stay on top of the crumbs, then you will end up having a very professional looking cake at home. One more little scoop. Actually, I'm going to use this just to keep, because I do not like crumbs, just to keep it not back in there by accident. So you got to kind of be more careful with chocolate and red velvet than you would vanilla. All right, get it as smooth as you can with this. I like to. And then we're going to use the cake comb, and now we're going to start scraping. All right, so what we're going to do is pretty much take your cake comb. This is my favorite. Some people have longer ones, but I just love this one. I can get it straight enough. And we're going to do one round. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your arm next to your body so you don't, so you can able to keep your arm straight. And you want to use a bowl, not the bowl that you have your icing in. You want a crumb bowl is pretty much, and you're going to dispose of the icing. You don't ever want to mix those together because that is not professional and you'll have crumbs all in your icing. So what we're doing is just getting it pretty much as smooth and as much icing off and straight as possible. It's more of getting it straight more than anything. So when you do your regular icing, you will have a nice straight cake. All right, and kind of scrape it off on the top. But you don't want to play with your crumb coat too much because you can scrape off too much and you will start to tear your cake. So it's not a big deal. You just want to get it as straight as possible. And when you really want it straight, you gotta just kind of get down there at it and look at the level and all that. Also, when you're measuring, if you literally get down and you see that it is not even a full cup, that also messes with your recipe. It's just, you gotta be more precise when you're baking and any kind of icings too. It's not easy, it's definitely a science. Alright, so alright, and with this we are going to do a striped cake, so I am not going to mess with the crumb coat much more than this. It got the point across, you can see right there that it is straight, and it's going to be a white cake that we're going to have to ice twice because we're going to take a comb and it's going to kind of dig into it. So right there, we are going to stick it into the refrigerator for about 15-30 minutes to let it harden up, and then we'll be able to freely ice the cake, and then I'll be able to show you how to add stripes in a beautiful, beautiful cake, Valentine's Day cake. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We have had our cake chilling, our crumb-coated cake chilling in the fridge for about 15 minutes now. Now we are going to ice the cake, and I'm going to teach you how to put stripes on. We took some of my buttercream icing and colored it pink. I used Wilton color. You will always want to use something of Wilton or bakery grade. There's a few of them I use, a lot of professional ones I use. It just kind of depends on you to however much you want. Always start out small. Always use a toothpick. You never want to, you always want to just throw it away because you'll contaminate the whole thing if not. But in especially red, you always want to use the Wilton, not McCormick or something that you see at the grocery store. It's just not going to get it red. Believe me, I've tried. So I did just a little bit of pink, put it in the bag. What we're going to do is we're going to frost it with my white buttercream icing, and then I'm going to show you how to put the cake crumb or the cone right back on it. So, bam! 15 minutes chilling in the fridge, and now we are going to add our first and second layer of icing. We're going to do 2 layers on the side because we're going to take a cake comb and scrape it, and it's going to go pretty deep, so you've got to do 2 layers of icing. So we're going to do it really thick. All right, just a little bit on the top. You don't need to go thick on the top. got some nice whipped. Make sure your buttercream is whipped. It goes on a lot smoother and will eliminate air bubbles. Air bubbles is a natural, it's a natural thing because the cake is cold and then you're putting room temperature icing on the top, and it will sometimes, the air has to go somewhere. So sometimes you'll see an air bubble in your cake and you would just take a toothpick and poke it and kind of flatten it back down. But that is very common in a lot of cakes, for sure, especially when it's humid outside. I've noticed it more. But when you whip it, it seems to do a better job. Just do a first layer, our well crumb coated cake. We've been having some weird weather where I live, so sometimes humidity will affect some icing. This one's a little bit softer, so I might stick it in the fridge for about 10 minutes to get it to harden up before I do a second batch. We'll see. It's all guessing at this point. Icing's a little soft, so I might stick it in the fridge just for 10 minutes. And buttercream will do that. It really doesn't even matter the temperature. Your hand can even be too warm for the icing, and you'll start to see it melt. So it really is a chemistry, but you kind of just got to figure it out on your own. Let's see, we'll get it kind of smooth, and I'm just going to pop it in the fridge for 10 minutes just so it'll be stiff enough so I can do another layer, and not too long, not any more than 10 minutes for absolute sure. And all right, we will be right back. Okay, so I put it in there for 10 minutes, and now we are going to do our second layer on the sides only. I'm not going to do too much on the top. Too much icing is too much icing. Do this layer. Getting down sideways, down with it, it's easier. That made that a lot harder and a lot easier to do the extra coat, the second coat. So just to let you know, that worked. By sticking it in the fridge for a little bit, letting that first layer harden up so you're not dragging stuff everywhere. It does drag a little bit. This icing is a little warmer. I don't know if it's the humidity or what. Might be a little warmer in this house. We are going to chill it after we comb it, and that's going to harden it up. Okay, and then now just look for any gaps that are trying to make it level, even though it has holes in it. Just make it level so the comb will level it out with more evenness, so you don't have to take too much off the top or too much off the bottom. Just try to eyeball that. So we're going to take a cake comb next. Also on the top, you see this little, and you can see this right here around the sides. They are going down, so when we smooth them out, they are going to, you need more around there. So when you smooth it out, it'll be a nice round top. So what I do is I just do an extra little amount up here and let it kind of hang off the side. And we're going to go back around. As long as you get the sides and they're not rounded, they're more squared at the top, that'll make a better outcome. because this buttercream is very easy to shape. And it holds its shape. And it's also the best to stick any kind of fondant decorations on if you need to do stripes or any kind of logos or anything like that. This is the best buttercream icing recipe for it. I've checked other bakers' recipes, and I even helped one of my friends that's a baker. She's been doing my cakes for years, way before I did. But her buttercream icing is a little more butter, and I cannot get my fondant, because she needs me to help her with fondant. I can't get my fondant to stick on her buttercream. So this is the best to stick fondant stuff, fondant decorations, all kinds of stuff on. All right. There, that's pretty much straight. So we're going to take a light cake comb, make it smooth. Once again, you want to keep your hands close to your body. We'll have to squat a little bit. This is without looking too short. And any huge holes, try to lightly go around those gaps or anything like that. We're also going to go with a cake comb, so it's going to change a little bit, but we're going to try to avoid going back. All right, now we're going to take this cake comb. It is, you want to do one that's at least 1/4 an inch thick, or deep, sorry. And we are going to do lightly one layer. You're going to do it as straight as possible as you can, and just drag it. And even if you got to get down. There's one. Now I'm going to hopefully that'll be enough. We'll try to do spots that we see really needs working on. And if this doesn't work, I know a trick. Once you chill it, you can actually take some of those fuzzies off. So if that don't work, because this is my first time using this. Ones I ordered online were not deep enough, so we are going to take this and put it in the fridge for 30 minutes to get it hardened up enough, and we'll have to kind of work on some of those that are hanging out, but the colder the icing is, the easier it is to take off. So, we are going to put this right in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes at least, and we will be right back. Okay, what I'm doing is I've noticed that it was very thin in some spaces, big gaps, and I feel like it's not going to go smooth. So I took some buttercream, and we've had it in the freezer for a little bit. It was a little warm in this house, so it was melting, and I could tell it was about to be a disaster. So we are going to see how this works. I put a little bit in a piping bag, and I made the tiniest little hole, so it'll make a very small, just barely cut the tip off. And I'm going around and filling in those gaps, and then I'm going to go back and put it back in the refrigerator or freezer right now, and we are going to see how that, as long as I get it at the same level as that, hopefully it'll make perfect stripes, because these are a lot of little stripes, and we are really wanting to make this look very pretty. So I wanted to let you see this. So if this is an easy fix, then I invented an easy fix. We're gonna put this back in the freezer for right now and we'll see how it goes. I'll be right back. Boom. All right, so now we have chilled this for a little bit. I did my little piping I had to go through, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. Now I did a very small opening at the bottom. You can use a tip, but I'm just going to use a small opening. It makes it just as round, and then we're going to have to go through each little stripe. And this is a little tedious. It's going to take a little bit longer. The more divots you have, the longer it's going to take. But it's all good. Kind of have too full this time. I don't know why. But try to get it as level as the white. And I'm sitting down for one, and I'm also grounding my arm on the counter so it doesn't move around because it's a heavy bag. So, right. Okay, so we've got them all together. I went back over and kind of did the gaps to try to get the icing all level so there's not so much scraping so it won't mess with these are a lot of little stripes. So we're going to see how this goes. I do know that making them more even when you scrape is going to be a lot easier. We even have some, a little bit, well, we won't do that. All right, so we're going to take the first little layer off, and then I also have a pan of warm water, so it does end up making the lines a little bit cleaner. We'll do that after the initial, but what we're going to do is just do one small scrape across, put them in the crumb bowl, and try to not move it up enough, so, or you know, move your arm enough or move the scraper enough. So here we go. I'm just going to lightly do it until you're satisfied with it. The gaps, you don't want to leave too big of a gap, but I'm going to try to smooth it as much as I can, and then we're going to use the Viva towel to smooth the whole cake so it looks very smooth all the way around. So it looks a little rigid right now, but once you're satisfied with your stripes and try to make it where you're not doing too many gaps, we'll maybe try to fill in some of these gaps. I'm going to go back over a little bit. There's a gap here that needs more white. Make sure the tip is clean, and the smallest little amount of tip is going to help you out. So just going over the stripes, and hopefully that'll fix it. And then we need a little bit more of the pink on the side. It must just not have been level. A little more pink up here. Alright, so now we're going to slightly go over it with the comb and make it a little warm. Hopefully it'll just glide on there. Stick it in some warm water and then definitely wipe it down. So the metal is warm and it'll glide better. Be careful to not move up and down. And that did the trick on getting good. That's a good way. Good job. All right. So now we are going to smooth the cake, and the best to do it is right away. Don't let it harden before. I use these towels that are smooth on one side a little. All right, okay, so I chilled it for a little bit just so it doesn't pull the icing off of the Viva towel. And we're gonna try it again on the top. And if it's pulling too much on the top, I just start from the sides and then do the top last. I don't have no idea why it does that sometimes, and it does it a lot, but it's just a chemistry. It's very hard. Okay, so it didn't pull it enough that time. So now we can kind of dig it in there a little, not much. And slowly get all those sides. For right now, I'm going to start on the side a little bit. Put it up to the side. Make sure it's smooth side down and just kind of rub it all around. Feel around, know the roundness of the cake. And then I also drape it on the top and blend the top a little bit. It's kind of peeking back and forth. You'll see it getting a little bit smoother. Not too much, don't, it's just like a baby. It's like trying to be very gentle with somebody. This is my baby for right now. And I'm kind of taking it in a little angle to, you can sort of have the feel of it once you see this icing. You can see that it'll shape and smooth, and when you do it, you kind of will know, or you can kind of see where you can go harder some places and softer some places. But the key is to make sure it's the flat side down. There's nothing on, that it is the clean paper towel. And any little gaps or holes, you can sort of go back and do that. It just makes it very smooth. Okay, now we are going to put it in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes before you even want to touch it. And we are going to put a ganache strip and some nice little dollops on it and some sprinkles, and we will be right back. Okay, now we have had the cake chilling for probably about an hour. You would need it at least 30 minutes to get it hardened enough. But when you do, we're going to do a ganache strip. When you do a ganache strip, you want your cake as cold as possible. I would even stick it in the freezer for maybe 10 minutes to get it, the icing as cold as possible, because it will slow down the ganache roll. You don't want it to go all the way down your cake and pull down at the bottom. So you want it to freeze it and make it a nice drip. So we have our ganache. I did white chocolate. Ganache is heavy cream and chocolate. And we will do a different tutorial with the ratios for that. But this, you want it very drippy. All right, so now we are going to do, we have a nice, very chilled cake, and we are going to start doing the drip. Okay, we are going to just lightly pull it on the side. All right, as it starts hard a little. And just kind of a little on the edges, and just let it slowly pull down. And it being a little bit cooler, it will, if you see it racing a little bit more, kind of cut back on the amount that you put on the top, and just let it naturally glide down and do its own natural drips. Alright, that looks enough for that. And then it just makes nice little different drips. Okay, and then now we're just going to put the rest of it. I'm just going to pour the rest on the top. I wish it was more of a wider chips, but this is all I had right now. So we're going to have to just blend it in, and you got to work really quickly when you do this, because it sets very quick, especially the colder the cake is. Right, so, all right, and now I'm going to add some sprinkles just to make it pretty. I'm going to do this when it's hot so it'll all stick to it. And we are going to do little dollops on the edges, but I just figured we'll just add these. Make it a little festive. And then now these are stuck to the chocolate because this chocolate was still warm, so they are not going anywhere. They can be a little bit, the chocolate could be a little bit warm where you'll see them disappear, and kind of, you gotta kind of just make sure that don't happen. If you see that happen, just kind of let it cool off a little bit, because it could be too warm where the sprinkles will disappear into the chocolate. And just kind of play it like there. All right, and then next we are going to add our dollops. Have some of the peanut butter cream. I put it in an open star tip, and you can do a closed star tip. I just like the way the open star tip ends. We're going to start at the end, make a pretty little dollop, and go just around, just let it flow. Not much movement with your hands. I like to try to make it even by going one side to the other and just filling it in, but just letting it pool around with very little movement. Okay, I'm going to do this one here. And one here. And one more here, and that'll be enough. All right, and we'll add a little more sprinkles for the crust. When you add sprinkles, doing it right away is going to stick. If you let it crust and harden, it won't stick and it'll just be a mess all in your refrigerator. I'll add some different sprinkles. We've got a couple different kinds. This is a very pretty, girly, striped cake. And a dab here, and a dab here, and a dab here. All right. Put some middle. Alright, so now you have your buttercream striped cake with a chocolate ganache drip, a white chocolate ganache drip, and sprinkles. Happy Valentine's Day.
Wow, that looks so beautiful. Hi, folks. Today,
What was that accent? Are you a leprechaun? What was that? Can't quit laughing. That was so funny. All right. Hi, folks. What was that? Oh, that's special right there. All right, so we're gonna get it out of the fridge. It's another blooper. My finger in it.
all right, let's take 3.
All right. Okay. Cake is exciting. Yay. We're gonna make a great cake.